Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's total calamity with this UK visit and the way that they have used their children, Archie and Lily, now has mainstream, high-profile, non-political British celebrities speaking out and saying these two children are going to go on and bitterly resent their parents. And over the weekend, I really was struck by the total contrast in terms of what type of family life Harry and Meghan have given their children, who at this stage are probably going to grow up as little weirdos. And I'm horrified about that. They're in the line of succession. But I mean, how on earth will they be able to get through this given the total horror show that their lives have become? And you compare and contrast that to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who released the most beautiful images of her entire family after she completed the Three Peaks challenge. And there they are, the dog as well. Obviously, the marriage is so strong, but the relationship with the kids is just so genuine. But equally, I love the fact that the Middletons are such an important part of this family life too. And you just think what might have been if Harry and Meghan had stayed in the United Kingdom, but had allowed the Markle family to be part of their children's lives. They wouldn't have had to grow up isolated. But look, anyway, this all kicked off because Kirsty Allsopp, she is a very, very famous British TV presenter, and she's actually famous across the world. You know, you will know her from shows like Location, Location, Location if you enjoy British TV. She's a bit of a property legend, but she is also very outspoken. But she doesn't really wade into these issues. But she just snapped over the weekend after seeing all of the calamity in regards to this visit, and she posted on X, in about 12 years' time, these children will rebel. They will come to the UK, meet their cousins and other family, and bitterly resent their British life being taken from them. It's all so staggeringly predictable and sad for all concerned. Have the Sussexes never read a novel? And she's right, isn't she? We've been saying it for such a long time. Eventually, these two kids are going to think, what? You kept us prisoner in this mansion? You kept us locked up? You took us to nothing? And we didn't get to know our grandfather, who was the King of England? We didn't get to know our great-grandmother, who is the most brilliant monarch of all time. There will be bitterness and resentment. There is a debate over this brewing, though, because Nadia Essex, again, someone who's been here on Outspoken, a high-profile UK reality show, replied directly to Allsopp, and me actually, I think because I reposted Allsopp, how ignorant. We minions have no idea what goes on with these people's lives, no idea how much they do or do not see their cousins, how close or not they are with their family. Stupid posts like this saying they're screwing up their kids by people who know nothing is reckless. Sarah Vine totally disagreed with that take, though. She replied, in regards to Harry and Meghan, not sure they are big readers, leading Kirsty to elaborate. She said, but you get my point. Children all rebel in some way. Sometimes it's all just a buzz cut, but you never know how far they're going to go, and having a whole family in the UK who you've never been allowed to meet is quite tempting as a two fingers up to your parents. Well, I completely agree, but Narinder Kaur doesn't. She is the hardcore member of the Sussex squad who's actually, remarkably, blamed King Charles. Apparently the king, who's been bending over backwards against the wishes of his wife and against the wishes of his elder son, who just so happens to be the future king, Narinder thinks Charles hasn't done enough for Harry and Meghan. Look at this.
Whichever way you slice the pie, the fact that a king can't accommodate his own son in a palace because of this alleged too late notice, etc., is absolutely diabolical. They've accommodated Trump so many times. Harry fought for this country, 2 tours in Afghanistan. It is confirmed by numerous intelligence sources, including the FBI, that he's a target of Al-Qaeda because he killed some 25 members of the Taliban. His life is at risk. His children's lives are at risk. They are 5th, 6th and 7th in line to the monarchy. He's the son of a king. He is the brother of a future king, and his security and safety cannot be guaranteed, is bad enough. But for the king, who did everything for his side piece Camilla before she became a royal, cannot even accommodate his own son. How hurtful that must be. No wonder. I don't even think Harry, he's coming back from Invictus Games. This is for wounded veterans. The man does so much good, and his own father can't accommodate him. The optics are disgusting, and the royal family wonder why they're so unpopular with the
Brittany, I think it was pretty hurtful, was it not, Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network? I think it was pretty hurtful, was it not, when Harry described Camilla as the enemy, when he effectively allowed Meghan Markle to describe Catherine as some type of bitch. Oh, not to mention calling the king racist. I mean, come on. I'm with Kirsty Allsopp here. I really am. I think it will be a miracle if Archie and Lily don't grow up ending up hating their parents after all of this. If you want more hard-hitting Harry and Meghan coverage like this with the double standards called out, hit subscribe right now and turn on the notifications. Dan Wood and Outspoken has no spin, no bias, and no censorship.
I mean, I really think that's a distinct possibility because I just can't imagine you spend, what was it, his fourth birthday? I'm sure Archie spent his fourth birthday in like a bouncy house or something, or maybe it was his, yeah, I can't remember which birthday it was. Instead of being at the coronation of his grandfather, he got a piddly birthday party compared to hanging out in Buckingham Palace with the rest of the royal family. I would look back on that as a child and go, why couldn't I go? I don't understand. And this is the thing for Harry and Meghan, how they've treated their children, how they've cut them off from any sort of family relationship and family bond. It's just cruel. It's just a horrible way to raise their family. And I honestly I don't think Archie and Lily will grow up necessarily super well adjusted in some ways. And I have no doubt at some point they will meet all the royal relatives as teenagers or adults and go, these people are cool. These people are awesome. What was wrong? I don't understand. And I think that's going to be the situation. And maybe it may come out too that the kids kind of understand that, hey, dad's unstable and not too bright and mom's, a narcissist. And so they kind of figure out, hey, our parents are the problem. We love them, but these rest of the royal relatives are pretty cool. We maybe at some point they're stripped of their prince and princess titles and they're like, we could have been a prince and princess. Like we were briefly, but then that was taken from us. And that's all because of you. I think that will build a lot of resentment within the home. And Charles is 100% right here to allow the government to dictate who is protected and who is not. And I'm sorry, but multiple people have looked into Harry at this point and they found no risk. There is no risk to this guy. If there was, he would get protection. There is none, so he doesn't. This should be just black and white. It's very simple, but
the biggest risk is to himself. He is the biggest risk to himself. And actually, Brittany, and I'm going to be very clear on this, if something happens now, it's because he has made himself a threat with the constant talk of security and the lack of security. The other thing is, if you have cousins, right, you build close relations with your cousins when you're young. And so for Archie and Lily, it's like their cousin is going to be the future king. But he's heading into his teenage years. He's going off to boarding school. It's actually too late now to ever build that sort of close relationship where your cousins almost become like a second set of siblings. And these are such nice kids, aren't they, Brittany? Because we saw with the Prince and Princess of Wales post on Sunday evening, this time last week, completing the National Three Peaks Challenge. A huge thank you to everybody who has supported the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity. To find out more or donate, please visit royalmarsden.org, Princess of Wales. She's always doing the right thing. But I have to be honest, Brittany, it was actually the post from James Middleton, Catherine's brother, that really got me. I mean, I am incredibly close to my sister, right? So I just know he was there for her every step of the way, as I would have been my sister. And he posted, "I'm so incredibly proud of my darling sister. 2 years ago, I told you we'd climb this mountain together. We talked about climbing mountains while you were in hospital and about the incredible healing power that nature can have for both the body and the mind. So it was such an honor to join you for your Three Peaks Challenge for the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity. Seeing how far you've come is nothing short of inspiring. Your strength, resilience, and determination, all while being the most amazing mother, wife, daughter, and sister, inspire me and so many others every single day. Keep being exactly who you are." Honestly, Brittany, I just can't even read it. It's so beautiful. It is just such a beautiful thing from James, I thought.
It really is, and shows how close the Middletons are as a family and how William has been 100% embraced by them. And I think that was part of the big attraction to Catherine, is this stable family. And I think through Catherine and through her own stable family, she has helped William craft a very stable family. And I think that is hugely critical for the future of the monarchy, because you can only do what has been exampled to you in many ways, or you make a really hard decision to change your family dynamics. And Harry and Meghan, I think they're going to perpetuate the instability that Charles and Diana, and I think Thomas and Doria offered Harry and Meghan growing up, rather than William, who saw his childhood very unstable one in many ways and chose an entirely different route. And thankfully as well, the Wales' kids, yes, they don't have Harry and Meghan's children to be really close with, but they do have their Middleton cousins, and I think they're exceptionally close to them. We haven't really seen them ever publicly interact, but I'm sure they spend a lot of time at the Middleton house. Like we saw a bit of that in James's book. So I think they have those cousins to rely on, and I think they will become incredibly close and probably even more public as time goes on. And it's so grateful that William has this stability to land on, because right now I think there's so much up in the air with his father's illness and his brother's, I would argue, mental problems, that William, I think, loves being in the bubble with the Middletons, and they have done so much for him. And I think he loves them dearly. Of course, he loves his own family as well. But I think without the Middletons, especially with Catherine's cancer and Harry and his book and his Netflix series and everything, I think William would be in a much darker place. So I think he is exceptionally grateful to that family.
look at Catherine again, all of this chaos going on, Brittany, and she's doing her duty, isn't she? Look at these pictures. Here she is at the Evelina, London's Children's Hospital, where she is patron. She is on 2 hospital wards, meeting parents, children, and intensive care specialists, because this is what we expect her to do. And she's going ahead with this, Brittany, with no drama, no issues, no fanfare, like Meghan wants, because she is going to go to a hospital. So she's going to the Chelsea hospital. So we all have to stop and we all have to change security plans. So Catherine's just going and doing it, and it matters, and people care. And these are the images that really mean so much more in my view, Brittany. Look at the way that she's listening. Look at the way she cares.
And when you think about Harry and Meghan, especially, like, they'll go and they'll create a lot of fanfare for a hot second, and then I'm sure many of those charities never ever hear from them again. Whereas Catherine and William visit a charity, and then they are developing this relationship over a period of time, and they're helping out, and they're reaching out months and years later, and they're continuing this bond that they create with patients and in hospitals. And I think Catherine, of course, with her cancer experience, has even more of a heart for those who are dealing with chronic illnesses and life debilitating illnesses. And so I think she can connect with them so much more. And I think she wants to connect with them, wants to learn. And through her steady approach, rather than a bunch of fanfare and bloat, a steady approach over a long term can have much more of an impact than Harry and Meghan could ever dream to.
Yeah, indeed. And Brittany, I mean, it's so funny. It feels like an eternity ago that I sat down on Friday night UK time and watched Prince William with the Kelsey brothers, which was such a coup, appearing on the New Heights podcast on the day that Travis Kelce tied the knot with Taylor Swift, a wedding, of course, which William and Catherine had been invited to, but I think logistically was just far too difficult to think about all of their plans. It came at the time of Wimbledon, not to mention the security logistics of them being at Madison Square Gardens. But it was such a nice way, I think, for William and Catherine to just make a nod towards that wedding. And there were also a couple of great moments, and I don't just want them to pass us by, Brittany. I mean, it was so funny when William, not sure if the King would have loved it, but when he told the truth about the King's view of what you call soccer, Brittany, and we call football, okay?
Did your dad get you into Aston Villa, or is this your own doing?
Absolutely not. My father hates football.
Oh no!
My family haven't got a particularly long history with football. There are a few of us who support teams. My football love came from friends taking me to my first match.
Nice.
And at school growing up, you can't avoid the football chat. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And some school friends, so childhood friends of mine, took me to my first game. And actually, I saw Gareth Southgate the other day, just this week, and he reminded me that the first match I saw was he was playing in it.
Nice.
So the previous England manager used to play for Aston Villa at club level.
That's
and
cool.
The first game he was a defender playing in the match that I watched in 2000, which was Aston Villa versus Bolton.
God, time flies, man. That's a cool story.
But I'm not going to lie. I think for us royalists, it was most nice when, there was a lot of football talk, right? And of course there was. Like, it's a sports podcast. Like, Brittany, you get it, right? It's a sports podcast. There's a lot of football talk. But my favourite moment was when Travis actually opened up about how nervous he was when he was meeting Prince William, and how they especially loved Princess Charlotte because it led to a really...
Honestly, one of the coolest moments ever was meeting you and the little ones that day. Me and Jason joke about it all the time. We were so nervous to meet you guys and the royal family, and Jason has this running joke where he didn't know what to do with his beer.
Yeah, it wasn't a joke. It was reality. I don't know what... Well, you want to be respectful and you know what the protocols
of course
are, but no, it was awesome, and you were fantastic. The kids were great.
Yeah.
Princess Charlotte was still the highlight for me. I have 4 daughters as well. So, I mean, she was great.
No, congratulations having 4 daughters. I don't know how you do that.
That is definitely a difficult task. The hardest job.
Brittany, it was such a great conversation. And of course, I know people say, oh, don't bring them up in regards to this, but you just can't get away from the fact this is the type of conversation that Prince Harry thought he was going to be having over the course of the FIFA World Cup, of which he has thus far been totally shut out of.
He has. I'd be curious to know, Dan, if he has been asked to do anything or if he tried to get to do anything.
See, my belief is he hasn't, because they backed David Beckham, but he's going to do the James Corden show, and that's like his only route in.
It is. And it's kind of funny because obviously as well, he had the whole debacle at the Dodger game wearing the Dodger hat versus Toronto hat. But I'm sure Harry and Meghan being excluded from the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce wedding was, I'm sure, a huge blow to their egos. And because everybody from the entertainment industry seemed to be there, like everyone, even those who had a peripheral more connection to Taylor Swift were there. And so Harry and Meghan being excluded, I'm sure Catherine and William were invited. It was actually confirmed this week by the Telegraph as well that Travis and Kelce met with Catherine and William in London when they were there just like a month or two ago. So that Taylor Swift is putting all her stock in the future king and queen, I think says so much, because Harry and Meghan are just pariahs. And we've seen the example of this week of why I think nobody in the entertainment industry wants to deal with them, because this mess playing out publicly does nothing but continue to damage and erode their reputation. And I think bringing Prince William on for the podcast on the date of the wedding was a stroke of PR brilliance. Obviously, you had the World Cup in the background, so it made sense in a lot of different forums. But I really think it highlighted this connection that Travis and Kelsey have to the royal family, to Prince William, to the future king and Catherine, and the rest of the royals, and talking about Charlotte. Just, I think, again, exemplifies how people see royals. It's like a uber celebrity in a world of celebrities. And Harry and Meghan, I think, not only are they not that anymore, I think they've put themselves in the B, C list ranking again. They were Ubers and now they're down to B and C list. And I think that's how the entertainment industry is treating them. And I think that podcast reflects it.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the Royal Grift pointed out some reporting from Kennedy in the Daily Mail, and I would sort of describe it as Meghan Markle's face saving when it came to the wedding, because I just really struggle to believe this, Brittany. But Kennedy reported, this is in the Mail, "What does me Meghan think of all this? I asked one of my Montecito moles if they thought that me again was miffed about missing Trailer Palooza," which is obviously what she's calling the Taylor Swift wedding. "I just don't think she wants to be in a room full of celebrities," my insider said. "I think she likes to be the most important person in the room. Honestly, she would go to the other side of the world to try to just not be included in a celebrity circus if it's not about her. She is so self-involved that if something isn't totally about her, she's frankly not interested. She's that vain." Kennedy went on, "To be fair, Little Miss Markle is well known for rubbing elbows with the elite and doesn't wilt under the star power of friends like Serena Williams, but I could understand if she had some trepidation." Are you buying that, Brittany? Are you really buying
I'm not.
that if Meghan Markle got an invite to Taylor's wedding, she was not going to be there? I'm just not buying it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm not buying it either. We've seen events where Meghan Markle is not the most important person in the room. You know, Kris Jenner's birthday party, her and Harry were definitely not the most important or glamorous guests by any stretch of the imagination. Meghan Markle was, I'm sure, wanting and hoping and pleading and begging to get an invitation to Taylor Swift's wedding, not just for even just the opportunity to network. I mean, Meghan Markle set up her own wedding to network with Hollywood celebs that would never have given her the time of day before. And I'm sure she would have done the same with Taylor Swift's wedding as well. It was the event of the year, and it was fully controlled. And so I would imagine Meghan would have begged and pleaded to go. But we've seen with even just the photo debacles, we had the Netflix photo debacle where they demanded photos were pulled. We had the Jenner wedding where photos were pulled. I just don't think anybody wants to deal with them anymore. They are difficult. They are demanding. And they, again, have a hubris of a position that they don't really have. And I think that grates on people who are infinitely more successful than they are. And Taylor Swift has more talent in the tip of her little pinky finger than Harry and Meghan do combined. So
true.
Taylor Swift doesn't need them for sure.
So true. Brittany, look, a left field story today, but I do want to cover it because it's from the British Fashion Corporation and the show called Newsnight, which conducted that interview, the famous interview with now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, then Prince William. The host of that show, Victoria Derbyshire, revealing today, Newsnight has learned that Pizza Express held its own inquiry into ex-Prince Andrew's claims he went to Pizza Express on the date Virginia Giuffre says she was forced to have sex with him. It found no evidence to suggest Mountbatten Windsor had visited and was telling the truth, and also nothing to suggest he was not. Newsnight made extensive inquiries to see if there's any record of any customer or any staff member having seen him there on March the 10th, 2001. We found none. We submitted FOI requests to the Met Police, asking if Royal Protection Officers had accompanied Andrew to Pizza Express on that date 25 years ago. They told us confirming or denying that information is held would reveal whether protection had been afforded to a specific individual other than the King and the Prime Minister. That's despite the Met previously referring to Andrew's Royal Protection Officers, including in a press statement in February this year. The Liberal Democratic leader, Sir Edward Davey, interesting because James Holt, Meghan and Harry's former chief aide, is now his chief aide, told us, "I really can't see how revealing that Andrew had police protection 25 years ago would play into the hands of terrorists, as the Met claims." I mean, Brittany, I guess it's quite fascinating that this due diligence has only been done now on the Pizza Express alibi, but it does feel like a weird get out clause here from the police, from the Met Police, because it's like, oh, come on, we've had the discussion about Andrew's security. Like you're asking officers who know anything to come forward. So we know he had security.
Yes. And we do. And I would imagine it's difficult to get employees to confirm a date 20 plus years ago. I would imagine that that's quite difficult, but it's interesting that they decided to go ahead and do an inquiry into this situation and try to figure out if they could sort of piece something together. But again, this is a reminder of how this whole Andrew story is just going to continue to be a thorn in the royals family side for the foreseeable future. And it's just a reminder of why they need to address the issue with Harry and Meghan as well, because small issues can become much larger ones over time. And so it'll be interesting to see if they come up with anything. But the Met have, of course, have shared what they have in regard to Andrew, and they're not going to share much. And some of this might be withheld in case of an actual investigation, but we'll see where this goes. But it's just a reminder again of how this Andrew story continues to churn, and the royal family can only hope and plead that they know everything at this point, or that there's nothing more to reveal when it comes to Andrew. But I kind of sort of doubt that. And if they haven't done their due diligence themselves of investigating fully Andrew on the palace's side, then they will be caught flat-footed again.
Yeah, it's just an astonishing story and an astonishing day of royal news. So you've got to make sure you subscribe to the Royal News Network, because Brittany has it all covered on her absolutely essential.
This video is for news reporting, commentary, and educational purposes. The views expressed are based on publicly available information and personal analysis. We strive for accuracy but encourage viewers to verify information through official sources.